Hey guys, how are you? How is everyone tonight? It's me, it's Dr. Dana. So I'm going to start us off tonight. Hope everyone's having a good time. If you're here with me, throw something in the comments. Let me know that you guys are here and you're ready for tonight's topic of discussion, cannabis in the workplace. I hope you have all been enjoying yourselves and taking in some gems that's being dropped and learning some new things. We really appreciate everyone who has come and has taken the time to spend a portion of their week with us. You don't know how appreciative we are here over at Bhangology, that you're spending your time with us. Oh, my mama here again. That was unexpected. Hey, Chef Alex. Chef Alex is in the chat. Miss Wanda is in the chat. Hey. Right. Did you enter the sweepstakes today? In order to win some prizes that we have, you have to enter the sweepstakes and you have to enter every day. So make sure when you get your email and when you get your reminder, you click to enter into the sweepstakes so that you can win maybe a mini bang box, maybe the hero product that Dr. Tanya showed us yesterday, maybe some gummies. I don't really know what's in the what the prizes are, but I do know that I've been entering the sweepstakes because I didn't see a little message that said founding members couldn't enter. So I entered today. So I hope you guys entered as well. Anything you get will be great. It will be useful for you. But so yes, I'm starting us off today. We've had a great time. We've had a great week so far. This is day 5 of our summit. In order to, I'm all over the place, right? In order to enter into the sweepstakes, please, this is how you do it. bit.ly Bhangology Summit. So if you haven't entered, go to bit.ly Bhangology Summit and you can enter the sweepstakes for today. You will also have a chance to enter tomorrow, and you'll have a chance to enter on Sunday, because we still have some more great sessions coming up. Another thing that I want to let you guys know is that we're going to be opening up membership soon. So I hope you guys can join us as members in the Bhangology Cannabis Society. Although we have this week-long summit that's for everybody, we have some awesome things going on for the members. But don't tell Dr. Tanya that I told you that. But the members get like some special, we get little bit extra, but that's just between me and you. All right. So again, thank you for coming. If she asked you, I didn't say a thing. Visit the website. Go to Bhangology.com. Visit the website. Check out some of the products. Some of the products like the gummies are everything. And visit in our hero product, which is the muscle pain rub. My mother swears by that, right? She had knee pain. She used to be falling all over the place. Now she walked better. Won't say she walked good. She walked better, but she's, and Mom, you still here. Put in the chat that your pain has decreased and by how much, because I don't want them to think that I'm just saying this to sell products, because I'm not. I'm actually telling you about them because they work. So when you go to the website, use True Green coupon code and get 10% off. What else can I tell you? Visit the website, get some products. Membership is opening up soon. Dr. Tanya is going to give you all those details. Come on this ride with us. It's definitely going to be a journey worth taking. And is there anything else that I need to talk to you guys about? I think that's it. So I'm going to be introducing Dr. Tanya tonight. She's been starting us off and she's been talking to us, but I want you guys to know exactly who she is. So I have the pleasure of introducing her. So Here we go. Dr. Tanya Lowe, the original riot starter, is a national and international speaker. She's a trainer, a mindset coach, and consultant. She is the founder and driving force behind the Riot Starter movement, which consists of programs, products, retreats, and trainings. She is inspirational, transformational, and your partner for individual and organizational success. She's also the founder and driving force behind the results driven philosophy. And she's also the author of Results Driven Organization and the Results Driven Playbook for Success. And if that's not enough, she is also our CEO and founder of Bhangology, who has brought you this awesome summit this week. So, without further ado, I want to bring up Dr. Tanya Lowe.
Hi. Dr. Dana, you are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for that warm welcome. Thank you.
Of course. I'm going to let you take it away. You've been introducing everybody all week, and so this is the time that we get to know who you are, someone to introduce you, and I'm so honored to have that privilege to do so.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here for day 5. So guys, wasn't Dr. Dana awesome and amazing? Just give her some love in the chat. So, wow, we're at day 5 and we're talking about cannabis in the workplace. So listen up. Our speaker tonight had to be rushed to emergency urgent care, and she wasn't able to be with us tonight. And so, it doesn't matter whether you're a leader in your day job or your side hustle. If you're a leader, one thing that leaders do is they stay ready so they don't have to get ready. And so I am not Joy Pittman by any means, because she is extreme. I consider her, and she would say she's not an expert, but I would consider her an expert in this field. But guess what? You guys get me. And one thing that I know that I do well is I research and I bring you the information for an amazing discussion. And we've got Dr. Alex. Alex, I done made you a doctor. You're a chef and a doctor. So we're going to have Chef Alex join us for the discussion, because not only is she a chef, but in her day job, she's also on the HR side of things. So with that being said, I got some slides for y'all. That's right. Your girl did some slides. I put some slides together for you so we can have this discussion about cannabis in the workplace. Cannabis in the workplace. So cannabis at work. How our employers are reacting to the legalization of marijuana. This month is also Celebrate Diversity Month. And I'm always saying the workplace is changing. The workplace is changing. So not only is it changing from a diverse perspective, but it's also, we're adding this cannabis to the mix. So although cannabis remains a federally illegal substance, the number of states that permit its use is growing rapidly. I think we just added New York and maybe Ohio to the mix. So how many states actually are there? So when we talk about legalization, the recreational use of cannabis is legalized in 17 states, the District of Columbia, the Northern Mariana Islands, and Guam, right? And so there are another 13 states in the US, Virgin Islands, have decriminalized use. So what does that mean? Let's break that down. So how do we define use? So we define use by adult use, or you may hear people say recreational use. And that is, it's a leisure activity of choice. You're choosing, just like you may, I'm gonna have a glass of wine after this. After this, you may choose to have CBD, or THC as adult use, as recreational use at your leisure. And then there's medical use. Many states have approved cannabis for medical use, not Georgia. Well, I think Georgia, I'm not sure. Let me not say that. Medical use is prescribed as a medicine to patients who use medical marijuana. They're able to get a card, and the different conditions are outlined state by state. And so I've got some slides later toward the end of this that are going to show you what where each state is. So where I know people are watching from all over the place, and so you'll get an opportunity to see what's really happening in your state and what it really means in your state. So when we talk about decriminalization, what does that mean? So decriminalization basically means you can have a small amount of hemp, marijuana, cannabis, and you won't, receive felony charges like people have in the past, depending on your state, right? You could receive a fine depending on the amount that you have on you. So it's so important to understand now that it says that we're legalized in our state. What does that mean as far as adult use, medical use, and decriminalization? So know the laws for your state. So my state said yes, but my job said no. So what does this legalization mean for employers? Well, what's happening is these new policy developments are creating a lot of challenges for employers. They continue to maintain their drug testing policies as a part of onboarding. So, when you go and a lot of people, they go and they start a new job. Sometimes they've got to get a background check and a drug screen. Well, what is that going to look like in states where they say, hey, have at it, have a good time. And then there's some workplaces that do periodic drug screening as a result of your employment. I know that when I worked for the state, the grant that I oversaw said that people who receive funding had to be drug tested periodically. And so these are things that are on the table, even though your state may say yes, even though people are rallying for their states to be, all out cannabis. What does that mean for employers? So, employers have a financial interest. They want to make sure that they're keeping the workplace safe. They want to make sure that people aren't coming to work, intoxicated, that people aren't, when they go out for smoke break, that they're not going out for a smoke break. They're going out to get a little happy. And how is that going to affect the everyday operations of the business? So it's a risk factor for them, for many employers, when it comes to how they take a stand on cannabis being legalized, and how does it affect the workplace? So here are some questions to consider. Are employees responding? How are they responding to the shift in state laws by relaxing drug testing policies to allow for employee consumption outside of the workplace? So whereas they may say, well, we won't do pre-employment screening. What does that mean for if you're using it on your own time per se, and you fall under one of those drug-free workplace things, and they say, hey, we're gonna test you, and then you fail. But it's like, hey, my state, the state that we live in says it's legal. So are employees considering relaxing their regulations? And if you're watching tonight, and if you are an employer, or you work for an employer, or you are a manager or a leader in a company, please chime in on your thoughts around this topic tonight, because it really affects us all. So the second question to consider, are employers changing their policies for new job applicants, right? So are they going to waive that responsibility of pre-employment drug screens? What does that really mean? Or will they no longer test for cannabis? The third question to consider is, are employers enacting separate rules for safety sensitive positions like maybe patient care, maybe truck driving, mail delivery? So I was having a conversation with someone in my podcast today, and I was telling her about the summit, and she said, you know, she was talking to someone who works in the federal government, and they have been told, don't use anything, don't use CBD. And I said, did they say CBD? And she said, yeah, she saw the she's in the HR part of diversity in the organization. But she said, yeah, they sent her the message, and they were like, you know, don't even use CBD. They are like totally they don't want oh my God, what am I trying to say? They're not dealing with it at all, and they don't want you to deal with it either. So so making sure that you know, these are conversations that we're going to have. And then the fourth question to consider is, are employers keeping the same rules in place out of fear, you know, of, oh my God, now we're going to have marijuana in the workplace? And someone said to me when I was trying to gather my wits, when I found out I was going to be doing this, you know, what about happy hour Fridays in the workplace, or liquid lunches? You know, how is that different from what we're seeing with marijuana or cannabis being legalized? Well, I think the difference is marijuana, cannabis continues to be not federally approved. At the federal level, that has not changed. And so I believe many employers are holding on to that as their way of not making that shift. So here we go. Check this out. And if you're making comments and stuff right now, I can't see them, but I promise to get to them once I'm done with the slideshow. So here's some things that employers need to be aware of. Employers must understand their rights and duties when it comes to drug testing, because state laws are evolving. And if they're not shifting with those times, they could be in for some serious issues, especially when it comes to medical marijuana. So like I said earlier, marijuana is still federally illegal, and employers are allowed to have a drug-free workplace. They can enforce a zero tolerance when it comes to their policies. So employers can do that, and employees need to be aware of that and how that may affect them as well. And then it's also critical for employers to know if employees use medical marijuana, because they are held to a different standard. There's actually laws that protect those who have the medical marijuana card. And so they would more than likely they are going to fail a drug screen, but again, they are protected. Their use of cannabis is protected. So here's some other things that employers need to be aware of. Companies need to exhibit caution, again, when disciplining medical marijuana users, just because there are specific laws protecting them against discrimination in the workplace. And so, you know, here we are. We're talking about, you know, this diversity and this cannabis, it all goes together, right? It's like, wow, I have found another way to treat my situation. You know, we were just talking last night about using cannabis for those people who may be experiencing cancer. I just had a phone call today from someone who's like, hey, I listened to that episode. I want to get some products because I'm going for my second round of chemo and radiation. And she was just really inspired. So how does that affect you when you go back to work? So if you don't have a medical marijuana card, or your state is not a medical marijuana state, but you choose to use alternative medicine to help yourself. So many things to talk about. And then the third thing for employers to be aware about is employers can require drug testing before employment and at random. So as long as it doesn't provide discrimination against those with the medical marijuana card. So if you are in a state where medical marijuana is legal, where there's laws passed on that, then you're probably, and I can't vouch for it because I don't work where you work, but you're probably on the safe side. And so it's so important for us all to know the laws, know what the laws say, know if we're in a protected class, and know what our employers are saying as well. So what are employers saying? How are they responding to this legalization of cannabis? So some employers are maintaining tight restrictions, zero tolerance for even off the clock. So they don't want to talk about it. It's kind of, remember before COVID, people didn't want to talk about working from home. Like, no, you must come to work. Everyone must be in the office. And then COVID happened, and it's like, oh, we're never coming back in the office. And so here we are in this new place, and some employers have chosen to keep the rules as they are. Then there are the other employers that are relaxing their policies. They are only disciplining employees where there's an issue around productivity or an issue around them being able to do their work, and if it's impacted in a negative way. Derek Rydell, who is the owner of a company, Cannabis lifestyle company, he says that we're seeing more and more employers revisit their workplace rules, and he's based in California. They're revisiting their workplace rules because it remains illegal at a federal level. So I think that's one of the things that we need to remember. But while most companies still have zero policy. So, I've already shared that with you. And it's more common to see employers loosening up their regulations for patients with valid medical cannabis cards. But even that's not guaranteed. So what I say is know the law, know the law. And if you can see this, if you can see this slide, and I'll put the link to where you can actually get this information. You can see the states that are like Alabama, fully legal for medicinal, no, decriminalized, no, but it's probably just for hemp. And so if you had access to this this document, you could click here where it says view the state law. And so here's one: California, fully legal, medicinal, and decriminalized. Delaware is mixed. It's medicinal and decriminalized. And so, where it says it's mixed, really being looking at, well, what do the laws say, and what does that mean for me as someone who may be a consumer, and me as an employer as well. So here we are in Georgia, my state. My state is a mixed, medicinal, CBD oil only, decriminalized, no. So you can still get a fine. You can still be fined in Georgia if you have over a certain amount of cannabis, marijuana on your person. So I thought that this was really good information to share, regardless of what state you're in. It is so important to know the laws, not only as an employee, employer, but also personal and for your family. And so here's some other states as well. And then the last few states, and I'll make sure that I put this link in the chat so you can look up your state and review the laws for your state as well. So, woo! So let's have a discussion. I'm going to bring Alexis, because tonight she's Alexis. She's not the chef tonight. Tonight she's Alexis. You know, I'm going to bring her to the see in this, bring her up to join me so that we can have a conversation. I see some, I see the chat is lit. So I'm going to bring, hey, Alexis. Hey, Alex.
Hey, I mean, it's cool. I roll with the government.
Alexis. So let me see what's going on over here in the chat. And let's Miss Wanda says, not only do I use the rub on my knee, I also use it. That's right. And you know what? And I put yours in the mail. It's on the way to you. It is on the way to you. Let's see. So kind of yes, Alex, you're a doctor, you're chef. You really are a doctor in a way. Let's see. Hey, Baron, thanks for joining us. Dana says some places are not testing pre-employment. Wow, non-compliant edibles. Jamil Richardson says, I've spoken to others whom have the same valid question. How do I know if employers or potential employers have updated their policies regarding cannabis legislation? And so that is, oh my God, that's an excellent question. And what I would say, and you know, Alex, please jump in. I would say if you are going to start working, you're going for the interview. That's a question that it's a valid question to ask during the interview process. What are your changes that you're making around cannabis? Just like if I were going to an interview, I'd say, what are you guys doing around diversity? What are you doing around DEI? And what does that look like? And in addition to that, what are y'all doing around cannabis usage, your policies? You know, are you still requiring certain things? And I think that for a person who is looking to change jobs, or, you know, in the job market, and they say we have a strict no tolerance policy, blah, 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 then you have a determination of whether you're going to continue to pursue in that job. Alex, what do you think?
I was going to say, like, just do your research. If you're going to apply somewhere, like, do your research, maybe ask somebody that works there, you know, what's the environment like, things like that. Most of the information is public about companies and businesses. I can really only speak on the food and beverage industry because that's really what I know. But I'm assuming under other industries have it as well, that do your research, ask somebody questions. And then also when you get to the interview, ask them. It's totally okay to see what their policies are or how they feel about using cannabis in the workplace.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I definitely agree. Ask the question. And I think because so many people don't want to ask the question because there's still such a stigma, right? You know, it's like, you know, I'm going to this interview for a CFO or, you know, the CIO of this organization, and I might partake or I might use it medicinally, and I don't want them to know I've got these health issues or whatever. And to even ask the question, right? Even if you're asking out of curiosity, now you're being looked at differently, you know? And so I think it really opens the door to have more conversations. Like I want to talk to more employers now about what are you doing?
How do you feel about this?
How you feel about
it? Really, if you don't really feel comfortable flat out saying like, what's your policies on cannabis and stuff like that, then use safe words, safe public words like CBD, hemp, you know, alternative holistic medicines. You can say those type words to kind of get a feel on how that employer is going to feel about it. And then if they bring it up, then you go all in with your question. If not, then just ask your question in using different words.
Oh, I think that is so smart. You know, use some safe words like, you know, well, are you a hemp friendly employer, or, you know, how do you feel about CBD? I think that is excellent advice. Let's see. So she says there's a great deal of faith in the system, or that policies will be evaluated or updated on this issue. And, you know, I think, Jamil, that some employees, just like with diversity, just like with DEI, if it ain't fixed, don't broke. If it ain't fixed, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah. And until something happens, right? Until someone who does have a medical marijuana card and you want to you want to penalize them, you know, because they came up negative on the piss test, and you found out, wow, you're out of order. So I think it is a discussion that employers are going to have to start having sooner than later. Now, does that mean that they're going to say, well, we're getting ready to change what we believe in our company because states? No, and they don't have to do that. So so keep that in mind. So let's see. Nat Milton says, in Georgia, be careful. There is a provision in the Georgia law that may allow Georgia employees to ban any form of marijuana from its premises and to ban employees' use outside the workplace. So that is very, very consistent with what I found in my research. So again, I say, know the laws in your state. Let's see, that also says in Georgia, required to allow or accommodate the use or possession of marijuana are not allowed to accommodate the use. And I mean, you know, I wouldn't expect anything different in Georgia. I wouldn't expect anything different. So,
but with people that indulge in the cannabis lifestyle, or they use it as a part of their life, they're not gonna flat out tell you, or they're not gonna show you. You know what I mean? People have been using cannabis for years. Doesn't matter if your workplace said you can or you can't. They find a way to make it happen and get it done. So
exactly.
There's no way to really like tell or screen somebody unless they like hurt themselves. Yet again, I'm just talking about food and beverage. But unless they hurt themselves or something like that, then you could drug test them right flat out then and there. But real people that indulge in the lifestyle and are using different type of alternative medicines to heal themselves, you're never gonna know unless you just test them or ask.
Right. And like we said with Michelle last night, or was it Michelle? I think I said, I might have said it to somebody else. Like, really, you're gonna test the woman with cancer to see if she like she's got cancer. She's got a lot of drugs in her system. She got opioids. So like, you know, and then I think it also goes to what position you're in your job. You know, does your job, do they do drug screenings above and beyond pre-employment? Do they do random drug screens? You know, is that a part of the policy? I know there's some jobs where they don't.
Yeah, they just kind of just let you do your thing unless it affects the business.
Then
they're like, okay, we gotta test you. But most jobs that are gonna do randoms, when you're higher up in those positions, or even at a lower level, depending on where you're working at, they'll let you know. And people will tell you that work there, like, you're gonna get randomly drug tested X amount of times throughout the year or at random. You know, and again, if you're in the lifestyle, you're gonna find a way to pass those tests because you're going to happen. So I mean, employers just gonna have to, I would say, have the conversations now and kind of go along with the times and just make it more acceptable, especially if the hiring world goes away like it's continuing to going. Like, you need people to come to work now because you're fighting against the government, so you need people to come to work. You might as well just accept that part. Then there's going to be a whole nother realm of people ready to be employed. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the only thing that's stopping them for higher up positions or positions that need to be filled. It's just the random drug screenings for cannabis.
So it's interesting that you say that. So I wonder how many, and I know you're in food and beverage, how many professional, you know, mid-management and up, how many of those positions are being drug tested versus the people on the front line, your hourly people? Is there, you know, is it, okay, well, it's okay for the higher ups, the muckety mucks, but no, we don't want our hourly folks
It depends on the company you're working with or and things like that. The lower level, they'll get drug tested, pre-screening. You know, when you come in, you're going to have to take a drug test. Or some of them, they don't pre-screen the hourlies. They just let them work. And then if they get hurt or something affects the business, then they'll test them. And then when you're in the higher level, like management and things like that, then you'll get pre-screened drug tests, maybe some random sometimes. Or again, if you get hurt and it affects the business, then you'll get tested.
Right.
So it just kind of, it depends on the company.
It depends on the company. And guys, all of this depends on your state, your organization, your level of use. So, you know, I I can't, you know, state that enough. Know what your, know what your,
know your state, know your parameters, know what you can and cannot do. So
exactly.
in case, you know, something happens and you gotta take a test or something, you know, you have a leg to stand on if you need to, you know, fight that to keep your job or something like that. Or
exactly.
Moving.
Exactly. So I'm putting the link in the chat so people can look at they can look up, you know, their state and everything. Hey Sherry, thanks for joining. Very few, Dr. Dana says very few. I'm in middle management and up doesn't. And so you're saying middle management and up does not get tested. And so is that a discrepancy in the rules? So if you have a policy that says, you know, we're no tolerance, but we're testing one level of employee and not the other, you know, what does that really say for the organization? Hey, Carmelita, welcome. Real life in the ups, heavier substances than little old cannabis. I know. I know, right? I know. I mean, you've got people who these opioids, and you know, I tell you guys, I ran substance abuse programs, so you know, opioids is no joke. You know, the person that I was speaking with earlier today was saying, you know, they're giving her opioids here's like 5 prescriptions, but not once.
Those are legal. So
yeah, but they cause so many issues.
They do.
So much addiction.
They do. That's why we got to educate people now. Here is now where we come in and educate these companies, just everyday people, and you let them know, like, this is really what cannabis does, yada, 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 so forth and so on, so we could crush that stigma. Because that's what's stopping the whole progress. It's just the miseducation for so long.
Right.
So now we got to correct all the information, and the more people understand, you know, people will wise up in those policies at work and the whole work, but all that will change. But you're not going to test for opioids right now, especially if you know that person, like, is written down in your company log, whatever, they have an ailment or something like that. So they take these medicines. It's acceptable. You know what I mean? You could be walking around
until they run off the road, until they driving the company truck.
You're right.
Right. Yeah. Well, but then they'll send you to EAP to get some help. They may not fire you, but they're gonna fire you later.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, oh no, I'm gonna go to rehab. Okay, you go to rehab or you take these classes, then you can keep your job.
Yeah.
Like, that makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
None of it makes sense to me. It's okay for you to be over here. You could be a judge and you're you know, sentencing people and you're high off your ass on Xanax because your back hurts. But that's fine. But if little homie over here decides to smoke a joint before he goes into work to wash his dishes and he accidentally slips on something, hurts his back, now he got to be out of work because he pissed negative on a drug test.
Yeah. And they're not going to pay your workman's comp.
None of that. That makes no sense to me at all.
Yeah.
But it's just education. So
but these
change laws.
These are the things that when we get into the legalization, you know, everybody's running, hey, let's legalize. And I think that you know, it's being done, you know, piecemeal. Like, okay, we'll do a little bit over here, we'll do a little bit over here. And I think the parameters around states that have done the legalization, they've not thought about all the other pieces that go with it, the employment pieces, Right now, if you go and deliver a baby and you've got drugs in your system, they're taking your child. Your child's going to DFACS.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what it is. It could be, marijuana. It could be what you got a DFACS case now.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that they really took into account, like, okay, I think if they spent the amount of time looking at, okay, how is this going to impact workplaces? How is this going to impact this? Most of the states that are already legal would not be.
Okay.
If they really took that time and said, well, we need to take into account the workplace. And no.
And I think they're following up with that now.
Okay, or they're letting employers do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's stay out of it.
We're gonna keep our hands off. Our hands are clean.
Y'all figure that part out.
Yeah.
I don't know about most legal states, but I have a couple of friends and family in Vegas, and from what I'm told, like, you can have a regular job, because it's legal there recreationally and all that stuff.
Right.
So you can have a job, do your thing. They won't drug test you for that unless you work for the state. Mm-hmm. If you have like a federal job, then they're gonna test you. Which I get it, makes sense.
Yeah.
But still.
Yeah. If you work for the government, you just forget it. You better come on, get some of this isolate CBD. Get some of this isolate CBD. Right. If you work for the government, I was in the post office back when I was going to the post office, mailing packages, standing in line all day until I got my own postal system here in the house. Nice. And one of the postal workers asked me, he was like, what are you mailing? I love it when they get in my business. And so, I told him, hey, I've got this CBD business. And he was like, I've been wanting to try CBD. And I was like, well, hey, it's your lucky day. And I gave him a coupon, and he went, he asked me, well, what should I use? Me knowing you work for the post office, federal, they can probably drug screen you at any given time. My recommendation for him was the isolate. Like, you go with the isolate, you go over here. People who maybe work in federal government, who they have policies that say no tolerance, but they're not sleeping at night.
Right.
They've got pain. Their prescription opioids got them so locked up, it's not working for them.
Immune to it.
Their body's immune to it, or it's just not working for them, or it's causing something else. So, tomorrow we're going to be talking about plant medicine, in addition to cannabis. And I'm sure there's so many other things that will be on the do not use list, but
the forbidden list,
but I think that, I keep saying the workplace is changing. The world is changing.
The world is changing.
So and
just gotta just educate them and show them the different alternatives that they have. So you're doing a great job when people, federal jobs, or if there's statute that comes to you, you're showing them a way where they can heal themselves, where it won't harm their professional business until their job catches up. That's great. I do the same thing with my business stuff. I have a lot of random conversations with people. When, like, what do you do? Or, we're just talking about something, and I'll be like, I do edibles or something like that. And I'm like, edibles? Okay. And then we talk about it.
Right.
I've been wanting to try that. But, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is what we'll do. I could tell you about CBD, the different strands and how it helps you, and, how it really won't affect you in a drug test or anything like that. And we go forward from there, and then voila.
Yeah.
Healing somebody, which is great.
Right. And that's what we're talking about, guys. We're, this week-long 7-day summit is really about education. It's about exposing you to something more than what you heard, what you thought, or what you used to do. It's really about education. Sherry says it's a nightmare for HR professionals and those that need to enforce updated policies. They don't want to enforce the policies that don't have nothing to do with cannabis. So
it's going to affect them as well. So it's like, okay, let me not shed too much light on this, because I'm not trying to get affected with it either.
Exactly. Dr. Dana says putting it on the employers to make their own policies around it. Exactly. Because I think, unless you are government, employers, workplaces are private, and you work at the will of the employer. I know Georgia is at will. What is it? At will state. I'm not sure what other states are at will states. And so, I think, just the education, the continued discussion, and also listening to their concerns, listening to employers' concerns about, why they may or may not want to loosen their restrictions. And I know that Joy, our Joy Pittman, who is with HR for the Culture, who's going to be our speaker tonight. She had some law cases that she was going to bring and talk about, and we'll just have to get her to come back at another time. Because I think that, even as the entrepreneur, right? The entrepreneur, the small business owner who, you have a team, you have employees, you need to be aware of what you can and cannot do, and what the risk, because it is a risk.
It is a risk.
It is a risk. And we're not, I don't want anybody to think, we're saying, hey, it is a risk.
It is a risk.
And employers
know your rules.
And employers always want to mitigate risk. I wish they did the same thing in DEI, but that's another thing. So Call Carmelita says they have pain from sitting at their good government desk for decades, and they don't sleep because of the stress from said government job. Their supervisors should just hand out gummies every hour. Absolutely. Absolutely, Carmelita. Absolutely. That's what they really should do. And, probably some work would get done. Some good policies. Bring them. Because you know what? I know when I worked at the state, people would always come to your cubicle and oh, what you got over here? Oh, the girls, just some gummies.
You gummies. Go ahead.
Help yourself. Help
Well,
yourself.
with COVID, it got to be still in the plastic wrap now. You can't just be like,
exactly.
Plastic.
Exactly. Jamil says yes.
I know some people that have for holidays, because in the food and beverage industry, it's a very high stress, high anxiety environment. You deal with a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety. So I know some people that for high stressful days like Thanksgiving and things like that, they hand out gummies to their employees.
Wow.
Because they know it's stressful, and that's a good way. I mean, they've had the conversation amongst the team. Everybody's kind of educated and they know. So they've talked about it amongst themselves. But it's like, okay, I know you're going to be stressed, but we got to get through this day, and we really can't all be freaking out. So, I mean, you can opt to say no, but here's a CBD gummy. Eat this,
right.
And let's enjoy the day and get through it,
Right.
That's great.
Keith says, real talk. I think it's probably like that in retail as well. The holiday season is very, very stressful, very intense. And they could probably benefit from some gummies around from Black Friday all the way to New Year's Day.
Actually, retail, you want to think from like the beginning of school starting. So let's say August, because you got all those sales, all the like tax-free weekends and all that stuff. And then you have school starting. So you have a flux of people either going to school. So you got people moving and things like that. People moving into college dorms. So you got people buying stuff and all that. So from August until January, it's busy, popping.
Wow. So Alex, where do you're in HR, you're in food services, and again, guys, this is a very it's a conversation that is industry specific. It is individualized. It's law specific. So I keep saying, know your laws. I put the link in the chat for you to, take a look at what's happening in your state and get some understanding. So Alex, just, what are your thoughts? Like, what do you think is the best way for an employer to begin even broaching the idea of adjusting their current policies?
I would suggest having a conversation with the team member or that their go-to person that speaks for the team. You know, like most companies probably HR, but like how HR mainly talks to the field people, like they're their go-to between maybe the CEO and the hourlies or something like that. Like really have that conversation with them. Maybe do a survey. Surveys help. You know, that's a blind survey to your whole company and just see
Right.
how the team feels about it. And then you can get with all your higher ups or the rest of the CEO, whoever your people are that make the policies, and you guys have the discussion. But I would suggest really just getting the knowledge from your employees. Do
Right.
a survey or just ask the liaison person how they feel about it. Because people are having the conversations, or just watch. If you look at your company, pay attention to people. You know, people have habits. People show you things, body
Yeah.
language. You
Yeah.
know, they use a lot of cologne or something when they come in there. Are they chewing gum, eye drops? Do they have vapes? Most people, they're so leisure now with their usage with
Yeah.
vapes and things like that. You can find a cart somewhere in a trash can. Pick the cart up and read it. You know, pay attention. People show you signs, and then ask questions.
Ask questions. Ask questions. So good leaders ask great questions.
Yep.
What are 3 questions that, for an employer or a business owner who's also an employer? What are what are 3 questions that they can ask? What are 3 questions they should ask or can ask, or in considering how to move the needle in
Forward.
this debate?
You could probably say like one, what is your stance on cannabis now, be it medicinally or recreationally? Like, what is your stance on that? Have you ever used cannabis medicinally or recreationally? You know, and then maybe like, what are your reasons why, or something like that? Have you noticed it? Just 3 things you want to find out.
I
How
love those
successful are they?
questions. I
Are
love
they
those
using it?
questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love those questions because it opens the door for dialogue. It opens
Mm-hmm.
the door for discussion. And so if you've got people who say, okay, I get to answer the question and I don't get in trouble. Well, yeah, I do it because of my anxiety, or I do it because of my pain. What was that
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday night? Taz talked about, he has very high anxiety and
Yep.
he uses CBD, but, there are people, before people were using CBD for pain, sleep, and anxiety, they were using TAC. And
Right.
so, and
Right.
so I think hearing that, again, that goes back to one, connecting with your people,
Mm-hmm.
knowing how they feel. If you've got a team of most people are dealing with some anxiety these days. And so if people are
There's
saying, I don't use it I use it medicinally, even though
right.
I don't have a card, I think that's something to
I
to
think
talk about.
there's 91 people that I work that are under me that I have to deal with on a daily basis.
Hmm.
So I mean, I just ask them flat out, because that's just the report that I have with my
Yeah,
teammates.
well, you
But
cool like that. You Alex.
yeah, I just kind of ask them flat out, or we'll have a conversation about music or something like that. Like, oh, I like Wiz or I like Snoop or something. And I'm like, okay, and then we just talk about the culture. But there's policies that like this is a no smoking facility. You can't smoke in this building. This is not tolerated. Yada yada yada. But I tell them, I know that you're gonna do it. I know
Hmm.
this is what you're gonna do. Just don't put us in the situation to have that conversation.
Mm.
I know that
Hmm.
we're not dumb. We understand because it's a stressful environment, we
Right.
know this. So it's upfront, now I know we know what's going on, what's for real. So don't put us in a situation to have the conversations or to fire you because you've broken the policy.
Right. Right. Do you um do you have conversations around education around, so when they feel comfortable talking with you
Mm-hmm.
about their use or lack of use or misuse, right?
Mhm.
So do you educate them on, well, okay, so when you're at work, maybe you should use this
Yes.
instead of this. And so
Yeah.
how does that conversation go? How would that play out?
It kind of depends on who you're talking to. It could be like somebody younger, like the little young teenage cats and things like that, little high school kids. I could jokingly talk about them. I could be like, hey man, don't come to work so stoned. I get it. You're doing your thing. Maybe you should switch to mid, or maybe you should smoke 3 hours before you come to work because
Okay,
you're
so
not
explain to
functional
us
right
what
now.
mid is for us squares. What's mid? What's mid?
It's like backyard. Mid is like a lower grade.
Okay.
So, you know what I mean? It's just a lower grade. You can still be functional, but it's not loud, if you know what that is. You've heard loud.
Yes.
Okay. So it's like that's not top shelf. That's your well drink. That's your, your dollar special. That's your well.
Okay.
Makes sense.
The house.
So
That's the house.
the house, yes, the house. So that's what I tell the high school cats because they understand that lingo.
Yeah.
Mind your time or don't do it before you come to work at all because you need to be functional here. And if you're not functioning because I know what you're doing, then we might have to part ways. I can be upfront with them. But if I'm talking to somebody maybe a little older, I'll come up with different alternatives like, well, you could try CBD, or you could try a topical or something like that to help with your ailment. It works instantly and then you could continue on from there.
Mm-hmm.
So it just kind of depends on who you're talking to.
Right. And I think because you are what I call cannabis aware, right?
Yeah.
Because you're cannabis aware, you're able to Carmelita, I know, right? Carmelita said, I knew one, I heard aloud. I may not be as square as I thought. Girl, hey. So, honey, make room, honey. Us 50 somethings, we coming through the door. So, you're able to have the conversation with them. They respect you, and they're not going to do anything to put themselves or you in a position to lose their job. Because I'll be like, look, we cool and all, but if it comes between me and you, it's going to be you.
Yeah.
All day, every day.
We're still here to make money. This is work. This is how I provide for my family. That's how you provide for your family or whatever you're doing. So we're going to keep it professional. Like, these are the rules. These are the guidelines. But I do understand maybe you're trying to find an alternative to dealing with your stress or your anxiety, or, you really can't function or whatever your reason is. Just know these are the parameters. Stay within those parameters and we'll keep it moving.
I wanted to, before we close, I wanted to share a statistic with you on the number of people who deal with anxiety in America, and not necessarily. Okay, so here it is. Anxiety disorders are the most common mental illness in the U.S., affecting 40 million adults age 18 and over.
That's not so. They don't even count the. Let's say we start working with maybe 14, so 14 to 16. That's not even counting that age group,
right? Who may have lifestyle anxiety, who may have social anxiety, who may have their family's always moving, so they're having that anxiety. So no, it's not counting that. It's 40 million adults, because they're counting adults, 40 million adults in the United States age 18 and older, or 18.1% of the population every year. So so anxiety disorders are treatable, of course. And so you can have an anxiety disorder, and then you can have anxiety symptoms, right? Mm-hmm. And so, if you've been diagnosed with an anxiety disorder and you are taking medication, then I definitely, recommend that you talk with your doctor, or a doctor who is cannabis aware, who can help you make the transition if that is something that you want to do. But if you're having anxiety symptoms, I think during last year was crazy. We had political stuff. We had Black Lives Matter. We had the pandemic. I think everybody was anxious, you know,
Mm-hmm.
being able to sleep. I knew I wasn't able to sleep. I know pretty much everyone that I talked to were like,
I
I'm
know
not
business
sleeping.
was booming for me. As a student.
Well, of course, because of the company that you work for. Of course it was.
Even for
Your
every,
company.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
my company, like, it just went up.
Absolutely. And so I think that there are more people that we encounter every day that are dealing with something. They're
Mm-hmm.
dealing with something medically. They're dealing with anxiety. They're dealing with fear. They're dealing with something. And to just calm that storm, you know, Taz described it really well. It's
Yeah.
anxiety is like that storm inside. And, you know, once it erupts, you can't really function. And if you got
Right.
children, if you got a job, if you're taking care of an elderly parent, you need to be able to function. Keep in mind that we're not talking about getting high, you know, and I
Right.
always
Right.
say if that's what you want to do, that's your business.
Yeah, do your thing.
Bangology is about education, helping you to find a different way, a better way to have a better quality of life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. So let's see. Carmelita says, and for the record, another T-shirt has been born. Cannabis aware.
Cannabis aware.
Yes, that's right. Cannabis aware. We will have to add that. You know, are you cannabis aware? You know, that's the question that I think we need to ask.
I just think going forward, from what I've learned, that really just having the conversation, paying attention to your team or your employees or your employer, and being upfront with people. Like if
Mm-hmm.
you're the employer and you're interviewing somebody to come work for your company, just be upfront with them. I'm pretty sure they'll be okay with letting you know if they, use alternative medicine to heal themselves or if they're questioning or something like that. Just be upfront. Now is the time that people are trying to find alternatives to dealing with things like anxiety and stress and whatnot because
Mm-hmm.
they are aware of what the opioids have done and what they're
Mm-hmm.
doing. So they're trying to seek other alternatives, but they're also trying to seek employment as well. So now
Yeah.
is the time to have that conversation. And I'm pretty sure you're going to meet some great people that are ready to, work for you or do whatever needs to be done to excel you or themselves. You just got to be upfront and have the conversation. But now is the time to do that.
Now is the time. Woo! We did it. We done it, Dr. Alice. We did it, Dr. Alice. Guys, did you enjoy this session tonight? Give yourselves a round of applause. I was so nervous about, like, wait a minute. No, this ain't what I do. But when I tell you, being in this industry, I have been stretched. And I realized that, I know more than I thought I know. There's a lot of once you start like doing your research and your reading and you decide to step into something like this, you get that information. And then, for me, I'm a teacher anyway. So, really just wanting to, for me, it's having these conversations so that people can make the right decisions for themselves. And as I learn,
yes, exactly. Yes, exactly.
As I learn, I want to share that. And that's what Bangology is all about. That's what it's all about. It's, learning. When I launched Bangology, Alex, I think I might have mentioned it to you. I did a study. I just did just a random study of just the knowledge. What do you know about cannabis? And, would you want to try something different? And my study was in alignment with the national study that showed that the number one purchaser of CBD, cannabis, whatever, they are actually 60 and over.
Yes, that's a fact.
They are 60 and over.
Yeah, that is so.
And they're women. And the women buy it for the household. So if a man is using it, it's because the woman bought it. But I decided, okay, I'm not 60. I'm 50 at the And so I was like, so we're going to target people 40 and over, because if you're 40 and over, you're dealing with some pain, some sleep issues, and some anxiety, and you may want to find a different way of dealing with it without it being so such a big deal,
Well, that's like, I did that, man. I found the same statistics out, and I kind of giggle about it, because that age range, let's say 50 and up, that's my parents' age range and up. And just kind of looking at dynamics, those are the people that gave me the most slack. But they grew up in the time, when they become adults, let's say late 80s, early 90s, that it was popular. So it makes sense. It's just the stigma. They were taught and raised that if you indulge in this lifestyle, you can't progress and you can't move forward.
Right.
But now, like, they see their kids, and it's like, okay, well, this is more society, what? Let me see what's really going on. And some of them are asking the question. Some of them are like, forget it, I'm gonna do my thing, just live my life. But now they're like, you know what? Well, I see my kids, and it's everywhere. They're like, what's going on? What's up with this?
Yeah.
And they're just asking the question now. So that's cool. So that lights me up, because I'm like, okay, so that's that generation. I see that. What are kids younger than me, than my generation? What are they seeing?
Yeah.
What's lighting their fire? Where they're gonna go with it? And it's just like, it's awesome.
Yeah. It's a new day. It is a new day. So, Alex, thank you for joining me tonight for this discussion.
No,
guys, thank you for joining us in the comments. Thank you for participating in this conversation. Remember, if you have not registered, if you've just been hanging out with us and you haven't registered for the summit, you've got a couple of you can still jump on in and register. Go to bit.ly/Bhangology Summit, and that is how you can enter into the sweepstakes. And so we've got some awesome giveaways we're going to be giving out at the end, and it's going to be done based on those people who enter into the sweepstakes. And then we are also going to, as Dr. Dana said, open up membership probably tomorrow. I was going to do that tonight, but we'll open up membership, and we hope that you consider coming and joining us in the Bhangology Cannabis Society, where if you've enjoyed this week of just learning about cannabis and what it means, and you want to understand about the different cannabinoids and other cannabinoids other than CBD and THC, then join us in the Bhangology Cannabis Society. And like I said, we'll be putting information out. And if you're registered, we'll be sending it out as well. So thank you for another amazing night. We'll see you tomorrow night, night 6, same time, same place, where we will have Dr. Lakeisha come and talk to us about plant medicine. And then on Sunday, we're going to be talking about cannabis and Christianity. So call your pastors, tell them to dial in, come show up, join the conversation. It's going to be another amazing night. So let's see now. Thank you, Dana. Thank you, call Carmelita and Alex. Link your edibles info. Those interested. Yeah, they'll get it in there for those who are registered. Natalie, they got to be registered. We can't give them everything. So if they're registered, they're going to get all the access to Chef Dr. Alex. That's her new name. So, all right, guys, have an amazing night. Thank you for joining, and we'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Bye.